Welcome to the Frequency Lounge. I'm Rachel Veronica. And if you're someone who looks like you have your life together, but you keep ending up in the same patterns, the same relationships, the same thoughts, the same cycles, and you don't understand why, this video is for you. Because that was me. And what I realized changed everything about how I see myself and how I help other people now. I looked like I had my life together, but I kept ending up in the same situations over and over again. And I didn't understand why. And if you're someone who feels like you're high functioning, you handle your life, you show up, you get things done, but something still feels off, this is probably going to make a lot of sense to you because that was me. I didn't grow up in a safe environment. My dad was an alcoholic. My parents were gone a lot. But when they were around, it was always tension, yelling, arguing, stress about money. It wasn't calm. It wasn't stable. It was just loud. I remember being young and sitting in my room, hearing everything through the walls. Even though no one said it directly, I picked up on something that I carried for a long time, which was I had to prove I deserved love. So I adapted. I became really independent. I stopped asking for help. I didn't even think I could ask for help because that just was not an option in my world. And when you grow up like that, you don't walk away thinking something's wrong with your environment. You walk away thinking something is wrong with you. So I carried that for a very long time. And that belief turned into I have to prove I'm worth it. I have to prove I'm lovable. I have to prove I matter. So I joined the military. Not because I had some big calling to be a hero, but because in my head, I was like, if I want protection, I have to become it. But what I didn't realize at the time was that everything I learned growing up was still running my life. And it showed up in my relationships. I kept attracting the same men, abusive, controlling, narcissistic, different face, same situation, over and over and over again. And I remember thinking, what the hell is wrong with me? Why do I keep ending up here? But here's the truth. I didn't know any different. What felt familiar to me wasn't healthy. It was just what I had always known. It was chaos. It was inconsistency. It was having to earn love. So that's what I kept choosing, even though consciously I wanted something different. After the military, I moved to Las Vegas. I got here the same day my contract ended. And let me tell you, I thought I found my freedom. I thought I was starting over. But looking back at it now, I just changed locations. Because when you don't change what's going on internally, you just bring it all with you. So I ended up in environments that felt familiar. Partying, drinking, being around people that didn't have it together at the time. And I didn't think anything was wrong with that. It just felt normal. And I think a lot of people miss this. Just because something feels normal doesn't mean it's healthy. I was still operating the same way I always had, doing everything on my own, not trusting people, not asking for help, and honestly, not even realizing I needed help. And then there comes a point where you just get so tired. Not tired because you're working too much, but tired because you keep ending up in the same place. And I remember thinking, I cannot keep doing this. I don't know what needs to change, but something has to. And that's when I found hypnosis. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I didn't go into thinking that it was going to change my life. I had already tried mindset, discipline, trying to just be better, trying to think differently, but nothing really stuck. But this was different because it wasn't about trying harder. It was about actually going back to where those patterns started. And this is the part that changed everything for me. There was nothing wrong with me. I didn't need to be fixed. I wasn't broken. My brain had just learned how to survive in an environment that was not safe. And once I understood that, everything started to make sense. Why I was so independent, why I don't trust people, why I keep choosing the same relationships, why I felt like I had to prove myself all the time. It wasn't random, it was patterns. And those patterns were running everything. And this is where a lot of high functioning people get stuck because on the outside, you're doing very well. You're responsible. You handle your life. People look at you and they think you're fine. But internally, you're still operating from survival. And those two things can exist at the same time. You can be high functioning and still not feel safe. And that shows up in the way people don't always talk about overthinking everything, not being able to relax, feeling like you have to do everything yourself, not trusting people to show up for you, pulling back when things actually start going well. And most people try to fix that by pushing harder, more discipline, more control, more mindset work. But you can't outwork patterns that are coming from your subconscious because your willpower works on behavior, but your life is being driven by identity. And identity is built way deeper than just what you consciously think. So if your identity was built in survival patterns, even when your life looks completely different on the outside, real change happens when you go into the source, not just what you're doing, but why you're doing it, the patterns underneath it. And once that shifts, everything else starts to shift naturally. You don't have to force confidence. You don't have to overthink every decision. You don't feel like you're constantly fighting yourself. Things just start to feel clearer, more stable, more grounded. And I want you to think about your own life for a second, not what it looks like on the outside, but how it actually feels on the inside. Your patterns, your reactions, the things that you keep running into over and over again. A lot of that you didn't choose. You learned it. And if you learned it, it can be changed because underneath all of that, underneath the patterns, the overthinking, the pressure, the survival responses, there is still you. Not a version of you that had to adapt, not the version of you that had to protect yourself, the real version, the one that doesn't feel like they have to prove anything, the one that actually feels safe, the one that trusts themselves. And for me, that changed everything. I didn't become someone new, but I finally understood what was already there without all the patterns running the show. So if you've been feeling stuck, or you're repeating the same things, or you're feeling like something is off, even when things look good on paper, it's not because something is wrong with you. It's because something was learned, and it just hasn't been changed yet. But once it does, everything else starts to fall into place. You don't become someone new. You just stop being the version of you that was built to survive, and you finally become who you were underneath it all. And that version of you was always born for this. If this resonated with you, this is exactly the work I do. So you can follow along or reach out to me directly, and I'll see you in the next episode of the Frequency Lounge.